Across thousands of years, early humans faced survival pressures from climate, predators, and scarce natural resources. Their bodies and tools offered little protection against constant environmental demands repeated across many generations. Each sunrise brought similar physical challenges shaped by landscapes that changed slowly over long prehistoric timescales. This documentary examines daily life during the Paleolithic, period before farming or permanent settlements existed anywhere. Scientists understand this period through stone tools, animal bones, hearth remains, and preserved environmental evidence. These materials reveal how people organize movement, food gathering, rest, and protection within changing environments. The focus here is survival across a full day, shaped by energy needs and physical constraints. Daily actions depended on available resources, weather patterns, daylight length, and nearby animal or plant opportunities. This structure helps listeners picture routine activity without stories, characters, or imagined personal experiences. At dawn, temperatures often remained low, requiring bodies to conserve heat through movement and shelter use. Archaeological sites show repeated hearth use, indicating fire maintained warmth, light, and basic food preparation. Stone tool scatters suggest early tasks, focused on cutting meat, scraping hides, and processing gathered plants. Wear marks on tools indicate careful energy management during repetitive actions performed steadily throughout the day. Animal bone remains show preferred butchery patterns, revealing efficient meat removal and nutrient access strategies. These remains often cluster near hearths linking food, processing directly with warmth and tool. Maintenance activities. Morning activity likely balanced food preparation, with planning short movements across familiar local terrain. The absence of footwear meant constant contact with ground, surfaces influencing pace routes and injury risk. Skeletal stress markers support frequent walking and load, carrying across uneven landscapes on a daily basis. As daylight increased, gathering activities expanded, targeting plants identified through predictable seasonal growth patterns. Plant residues on tools confirm regular processing of root seeds and fibrous plant materials. These foods required time reinforcing steady work rhythms rather than brief periods of intensive effort. Midday conditions varied by region, influencing shade use, water access, and rest timing decisions. Water sources identified by site locations suggest repeated daily returns to reliable springs or rivers. Tool repair evidence shows maintenance occurred during pauses, extending usefulness without constant tool replacement. Afternoon activity likely emphasized mobility, tracking animals, or relocating camps within known territorial ranges. Site distribution patterns indicate repeated occupation of advantageous locations, offering resources and broad visibility. As light faded, groups reduced movement to limit risk from predators and uneven terrain. Hazards. Evening hearth evidence suggests renewed fire use for warmth, cooking, and close social proximity. Charcoal layers show consistent fire control rather than accidental or uncontrolled burning events at sites. These daily patterns reflect survival shaped by material limits documented across many Paleolithic sites. Archaeological evidence suggests Paleolithic mornings continued, with careful assessment of nearby animal movement patterns. Cut marks on bones show hunting success depended on timing rather than constant pursuit strategies. Hunters relied on knowledge of migration, routes preserved through repeated site use across generations. Projectile points and hafting residues indicate tools were prepared in advance, not rushed during hunts. This preparation reduced risk during encounters with large or potentially dangerous animals. Bone fracture patterns reveal marrow extraction, showing attention to high-energy nutritional resources. Such processing required coordination, tools, and time invested during available daylight hours. Wear on shoulder and arm bones reflects repetitive throwing and carrying activities over many years. These skeletal indicators appear across regions, supporting shared physical demands among Paleolithic populations. Not every day included successful hunting, increasing reliance on gathered foods for survival. Plant processing stones show surface smoothing from repeated grinding actions over extended periods. This evidence confirms hours spent converting raw plants into digestible food forms daily. Grinding reduced chewing effort and increased calorie availability from otherwise difficult foods. Dental wear patterns align with consumption of gritty or fibrous foods on regular daily basis. Midday rest is suggested by clustered tool debris found repeatedly around hearth areas. These clusters imply stationary periods rather than constant movement throughout daylight hours. Shade use can be inferred from site placement near rock overhangs or tree cover. Environmental data shows midday. Heat posed dehydration and exhaustion risks for active groups. Water access shaped how long groups remained active away from central camp locations. Afternoon tool production increased, when light conditions favored careful precision work. Flake scars demonstrate controlled technique during stone reduction and shaping sequences. Mistakes in tool making were costly due to limited raw material availability. Discarded cores show planning to maximize usable cutting edges from each stone. This planning reduced future effort and overall energy loss across daily tasks. The presence of children is suggested by smaller footprints found near adult tracks. These tracks indicate learning through observation within shared daily routines over time. Elder individuals show joint degeneration, implying continued participation despite reduced mobility. Their accumulated knowledge likely supported decisions grounded in environmental familiarity. Daily survival relied on shared effort, documented through repeated material patterns across sites. These findings show Paleolithic life structured by evidence rather than imagined narrative. As evening approached, reduced light-constrained movement and increased reliance on familiar camp locations. Faunal remains show nighttime scavenging risks encouraging. Early settlement near protective terrain features. Shelter evidence includes windbreaks and simple coverings inferred from post holes and hearth placement. Such structures reduced heat loss. Without permanent architecture or long-term site investment, fire maintenance became critical. After sunset, as temperatures dropped and predators became more active, ash layers indicate controlled feeding of fires rather than uncontrolled burning. Through the night, cooked bone fragments suggest evening. Meals emphasized remaining meat and previously gathered plant foods. Cooking improved digestion and reduced chewing time, conserving energy for the following day. Dental calculus analysis supports regular exposure to cooked starches during late-day consumption. After eating, tool cleaning and careful repositioning prepared essential equipment for efficient morning use. Broken tools found near hearths indicate repairs completed during limited evening light conditions. Social proximity is inferred from clustered sleeping areas surrounding central fire locations within camps. This arrangement reduced exposure to cold and allowed shared monitoring of environmental threats. Sleep patterns depended on fire duration, weather stability, and reduced nighttime movement nearby. Skeletal recovery markers suggest bodies adapted to short rest, periods interrupted by disturbances. Morning readiness required waking with sufficient strength to meet repeated daily physical demands. This cycle repeated across generations, evidenced by consistent site reuse over long timescales. Radiocarbon dates show camps returned seasonally following predictable patterns of resource availability. Such predictability reduced uncertainty, but did not eliminate daily physical risk entirely. Injuries recorded on bones indicate accidents occurred despite careful shared environmental knowledge. Healed fractures show survival, continued with community support during extended recovery periods. These patterns demonstrate cooperation, grounded in survival necessity rather than later social complexity. Daily life therefore balanced risk, effort, and recovery using practical material solutions. The evidence reflects adaptation, shaped by demanding environments rather than individual personal choice. Every activity left physical traces, allowing reconstruction of routine, prehistoric human behavior patterns. These reconstructions remain cautious, limited by preservation conditions and available archaeological sites. Even so, daily structure appears consistent across many Paleolithic regions worldwide over time. This consistency supports conclusions based on repeated material associations documented across sites regionally. Understanding one full day clarifies how survival depended on disciplined daily routine management. This perspective anchors Paleolithic life within evidence rather than modern imaginative interpretation alone. Archaeologists compare multiple sites to identify repeated daily activity patterns across environments. Similar hearth spacing suggests consistent group sizes and shared warmth needs during overnight rest. Tool discard locations reveal habitual work zones used at specific times each day. Animal age profiles indicate hunting targeted certain species stages to reduce injury risk. This selective approach increased survival chances without guaranteeing daily food acquisition success. Seasonal evidence shows daily routines, adjusted as daylight length and temperatures changed gradually. Clothing remains inferred from hide scraping tools, suggest thermal. Management shaped daily planning. Skin processing required extended time. Investment influencing how daylight hours were allocated daily. Firewood collection patterns indicate repeated short trips rather than distant risky excursions. Charcoal species analysis shows preference for woods that burn steadily with minimal smoke. This choice supported breathing comfort and longer fire maintenance periods overnight safely. Spatial analysis of camps reveals separation between sleeping, working, and waste areas. Such organization reduced contamination risks and improved daily efficiency within limited space. Evidence of repeated cleaning suggests attention to hygiene long before modern medical understanding. Parasite traces in sediments confirm health pressures affected energy levels during daily tasks. These pressures reinforced steady pacing rather than exhausting bursts of physical effort. Stone raw material sourcing shows planned movement to known outcrops within reachable distances. Transporting stone added weight influencing how much material could be carried daily. Catching evidence suggests materials were stored for later use to reduce transport demands. This behavior reflects forward planning supported by environmental familiarity and shared local knowledge. Daily decision-making balanced immediate needs against predictable future resource availability cycles. This balance is visible through repeated site occupation layers separated by time gaps. Footpath erosion near sites suggests habitual routes used multiple times each day. These routes minimized energy loss and avoided hazards learned through prior experience. Weather indicators showed daily shelter. Decisions responded quickly to changing wind or precipitation. Flexible shelter use reduced exposure without requiring heavy construction or permanent structures. This adaptability allowed groups to survive across diverse regions using similar daily frameworks. Archaeological consistency suggests these routines were learned behaviors, transmitted across generations. Such transmissions stabilized daily life despite environmental uncertainty and long-term pressures. Studying a full day reveals survival depended on disciplined repetition, grounded in material evidence. Looking across all evidence, a Paleolithic day appears shaped by repetition, constraint, and balance. These routines allowed survival without farming, metal writing, or permanent settlements anywhere. Material traces show how ordinary actions accumulated into long-term human persistence worldwide. Understanding daily structure helps explain population spread across challenging landscapes before civilization. This perspective relies on bones, tools, sites, and environmental records rather than imagination. A single day reflects pressures, repeated thousands of times across many prehistoric generations. Through this evidence, Paleolithic life appears disciplined, adaptive, and grounded in physical limits. Considering this daily rhythm highlights the deep significance of ordinary survival in human history. What details from this Paleolithic routine stand out to you and why in the comments? Thank you for listening, and you may like this documentary series for further prehistoric studies.